I said earlier, there's this notion with respect to agriculture that anytime someone hears agriculture, go to the farm. So even during the process of application, I think that it was just some kind of divine intervention, because at every stage, I used to hear, this guy, what is he doing here? He's not qualified. Oh, we'll take him out. He's not qualified. We'll take him out. We'll take him out. Okay. I eventually made it.
Welcome once again to the life of the AfroPro. Today I'm excited to have with me Mr. Nyarko Mensah. He is a pilot and he has a lot to share, especially with young people aspiring to toe that same line. I'm glad to have you here, Sam.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, and good to see you once again.
Yes, it's been a while.
Yeah. So if you are ready, we'll go straight ahead and enter into the conversation. I just want you to start off with a little bit about your background and your career journey.
Okay, thank you so much. So I am Nyarko Mensah. I'm fully Ghanaian.
Yeah.
I had elementary school in Ghana, and some parts of Nigeria. And then, my early part of my life. And then I continued to Aquinas. I did my senior secondary school, now senior high school there, and to University of Ghana, where I did BSc Agriculture. Please take note of that. Agricultural sciences.
Yeah.
I majored in post-harvest technology.
Okay.
And I had a passion for aviation, but, aviation looked very expensive. It actually is very expensive, So it looked like a dream that will forever remain a dream until I opted to join the Air Force.
Okay.
So I joined the Air Force, and since 2011, I've been in the Air Force till now. And my career journey has had so many ups and downs. But as we talk, I'm sure you get to know.
Exactly.
So basically, that is who I am. That's who I am.
Okay. So you joined the Air Force right from the university. And
so after the university, we all did national service, right? I did my service.
Yeah.
Social Security and National Insurance Trust. That's SNIT.
Okay.
And I worked there for a while until one time I was going to post a letter. And the guy did not have change. He told me he was going to give me the military form as change.
Oh.
That's how I took. Yeah. So really
so that's how you entered the military?
Yeah, that's how I entered the military. Actually, I wanted to be a pilot, but I didn't know much about entering the military to be a pilot. It's when I took the form that I realized there was something called Air Force. I was like, oh, Air Force is nice. Let me try. But at the back of my mind, I knew that I was not qualified because I did agriculture. Because I assumed that they would rather pick engineers, aerospace engineers to be specific, maybe those who did geography, the pure sciences, not like they applied like agriculture.
Okay.
I don't want to use the word, the assumptions people have with respect to agriculture. It's like when they hear agric, it's the farm.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you were able to enter the Air Force out of the blue, just like you said, and the guy just gave you the form and then you gave it a try. When you entered, how were you able to fuse into the Air Force for you to be able to pursue your career that you wanted?
Wow. So it was difficult initially because I didn't know much about aviation. I just knew a little about airplanes, but I didn't know about the broader concept.
Okay.
And when you are joining the Air Force, you have to really do ground training, like proper ground training before you become a pilot. You have to actually train as a soldier first before a pilot.
Okay.
So it is really a difficult journey, I must say.
Okay.
Such that you may easily get distracted along the way, because if you get tired of the training and you give up, it means you've lost the opportunity. But there's one thing that I've always tried to maintain. It's been difficult, but I've tried. We call it the selection and maintenance of the aim.
Okay.
My eye was on the goal. I had to make it. because I knew my parents didn't have the money to pay. So despite the setbacks, I still had to make it. It was not easy, but I can say that the motivation was coming out as a pilot. So I eventually got trained by the Air Force. And I'm a pilot.
We thank God for that. Let me be a little bit specific. Apart from the rudiments you go through, how difficult was it getting into that specialty as a pilot in the Air Force, coming from a background with agriculture? You said agricultural science or whatever. Yeah. How difficult was it with that background?
Okay. So, as I said earlier, there's this notion with respect to agriculture that anytime someone hears agriculture, go to the farm. So even during the process of application, I think that it was just some kind of divine intervention, because at every stage, I used to hear, this guy, what is he doing here? He's not qualified. Oh, we'll take him out. He's not qualified. We'll take him out. We'll take him out. Okay. I eventually made it. So I cannot really pinpoint any effort I made. I think maybe it was more like a calling, because clearly I knew there were better qualified people than I was. People with courses that were more of a better requirement than I had. But I guess that God called me there, honestly, because when I was a child, I used to dream a lot about soldiers. I mean, having to performing some roles during elections. Every election I had to have that. I had it like 3 times in a row, 3 elections in a row. Coincidentally, my first mission after I commissioned was election duty. So yeah, and it's like a deja vu. I could actually play it in my head, like I was doing this. So personally, I think it's a calling. I think that maybe God, and also on campus, a couple, I'm sure you can be honest, that we're really active in church.
Yeah.
So I think that just join the relationships. God probably rewarded me. I think so.
Okay.
I think God reward. Yeah. That's all I can say. It's just like divine,
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So through the military and specifically the pilot career or profession that you picked, you've had a lot of opportunities training outside the country. What are some of the perspectives that you've picked through this training?
Okay. So aviation is very dynamic. And first of all, military aviation civil aviation is even more dynamic.
Okay.
With these 2 aspects of aviation, and in the military, you are sort of linked to aviation in terms of combat.
Okay.
Combat and other social human activities. But for civilian aviation, you are dealing with mostly transportation of people and goods. I mean, commercial aviation. So most of my training abroad has been in the aspect of civilian aviation.
Okay.
Yeah, to help you really understand how the civilians perform their operations, so that you understand the human part of it, the gentle part of it, if I should say, the less combative part of it. So one of the tenets of those training sessions have been professionalism. Okay. Professionalism and discipline. Yeah. Because if there's no professionalism and discipline, you have a lot of aircraft crashing. Because before you plan a flight, there are rigorous processes you must go through. And know that every country has an airspace that has regulations, that has actions you must take before you go to stay or settle there. So the 2 tenets that I always talk about are professionalism and discipline. Those are the 2 main things that are derived from all the training sessions I've had where I've gone to.
Okay. So what kind of advice would you give a young person who perhaps want to pursue this kind of career, but just like you mentioned, perhaps maybe doesn't have the necessary financial muscles, or maybe doesn't have the background that is expected for the person to go through this kind of training? What kind of advice are you going to give to any young person listening to this?
Okay. So there are 2 major ways, but I'm going to talk in the developing country context, in the developed country context.
Okay.
So in our setting here, that's developing country, it's very difficult for an institution to select. I mean, after my number of years in the military, I realized how difficult it was for them to select pilots because the numbers are a lot, you know. So you have to look for some very, very minute or on a normal day negligible things that you have to use to disqualify people.
Okay.
So something like a course. Maybe someone reads aerospace engineering, somebody reads agricultural engineering. Because it's just one slot, they can decide that okay, let's just pick aerospace engineering. That does not mean that the agricultural engineering guy cannot fly or cannot pursue this. It's just to make the point that in our setting, the competition is high because the slots are limited. There are two main options. Either joining the military or going to train on your own in our setting. For training on your own, it means that your parents can afford. But even if your parents can afford, the schools in our country or the school in our country has, some of them are flexible to manage you. So because we have various stages, so you can finish the stage, raise funds, come and continue, finish, raise funds, come and continue. But if you can't afford at all, then your only option right now is to join the military as an Air Force pilot. But the challenge is that you will be competing with so many people. So that's where the divine attention comes. I remember that in one of my interviews, I met one of the officers interviewing me, and when I entered his office, I saw a piano there, electronic keyboard. I played the piano. And one thing about pilots is that your coordination should be good. It's just, So I smiled when I saw the keyboard, and he looked at me. I was a civilian then and said, "Hey, you, why are you smiling?" I said, "Oh, it's because I've seen the keyboard with small wood piano tutor." And small wood is like for beginners, So he was like, "Do you know how to play the piano?" I said, "Oh, yes." And at university, I was at my peak. Years after university.
I remember.
I played something for him. And he was like, "Wow, okay." That's what he said. Wow, okay. Years later, I found out that it also contributed to my selection.
Wow.
So,
thing.
Yeah, the little things, some of the things you don't even expect. So it could even be your work attitude that you develop from school. And I believe that there's always that divine element you cannot explain. As for that one, there's no science behind it. That if God says that you do it, you do it. And also, I believe God rewards you for your actions. So those are the two ways. But if you are in a developed country, all you need to do is be 17 years, read, write, speak, and understand English, and be healthy. So in developed countries, everybody can fly once you have the means. And it is not so difficult. It's not so difficult also to enter the militaries there if you are one of them. The only challenge will be when you are coming from here that you have to go there. But for a Ghanaian person who cannot afford it, unfortunately, the only option is to join the Air Force. So now to get to the point where has the person finished university with a particular course, or is the person in junior high school or senior high school? And that is where you can advise the person along the lines of courses that may increase your chances.
So what are some of the career paths one can choose after going through the system as a pilot in the Air Force in Ghana? What are some of the opportunities that lies ahead for such people?
So I always say that no one can fly forever. That is the truth. So after flying, most people enter into management. So in aviation also,
a little bit.
So most of us in aviation, what we deal with is mainly license. So we are all licensed pilot, licensed engineer, licensed air traffic controller. So we don't really care much about your degree, your master's, your PhD. You can have it, but you stay in academia. You cannot work on the ground because we on the ground need licensing.
You need licensing.
Sorry. So first of all, you need to get your license, which does not require any secondary education or master's, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
You get it? Yes, that is how it is. But like I said earlier, the military, because you need to cut people down, so you have to use some form of So for general aviation, so licensing. So after the licenses, now if you want to rise through the ranks after flying for a while, maybe enter management of, let's say, some airlines.
Okay.
You need some kind of qualification. So if you already had a degree, at least you can now do maybe a master's in maybe aviation management or aviation policy or airport operations. So now you have the license, but you have done a degree and a master's. You are qualified for some form of management.
Yeah.
If you also want to add research to your work, then you can do a doctorate in the same topics. And now there's even a new trend, is environmental aviation, green airports.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to do away with fossil fuel, pollution,
climate
greenhouse, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So we are trying to do away with fossil fuel. So that's a fresh new field that the international organization is trying to do more research into. So now you have your license, you have done your degree, your master's, your PhD, topic can even be something like that. So now that's a plus for you compared to somebody who just did the master's, a PhD. You're also licensed. So you can still once in a while do your work and at the same time do your research.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
That's the difference. So that is the general path. However, there are other jobs in aviation, like flight dispatch, air traffic control, safety managers, safety inspectors, ground operators, even catering services, cleaning services. Like there are a host of operations that you can enter respect to aviation. Just unfortunate that we only remember pilots as the main, but without all these people, the pilots cannot work, because actually there's a group called the flight dispatch. They actually prepare the flight plan for the crew.
Oh, okay.
So like there are a host of areas. So all those areas come with licenses. But the advice is that you also try to get a degree, a master's, and if you can, a PhD or several masters in various areas. So for example, I have a master's in air transportation, and then aviation policy management. So there are two different masters. So one is more like airline operations, and the other one would be like a regulator, like more of regulating the international organization that regulates the airport operations, the airline operations, just to widen my scope, to also make me marketable, so to say.
My next question will be, in all this, how has your, for instance, your training outside influenced your work back home?
Okay, so I mentioned that two things I always take from training outside are professionalism and discipline.
Okay.
In the military, we have a straight jacket or a straight operational policy that's very regimented.
Yeah.
So you can imagine going to learn this professionalism and discipline. It sort of doubles your effort.
Okay.
And I mentioned earlier that military aviation and civilian aviation are quite different.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So sometimes when you learn some of these actions by these civilian aviation organizations, you sort of bring them into your setting. So for example, we have a safety policy as an institution, but there are certain aspects of our safety policy that are not covered because we are strictly based on our kind of institution, you understand? So I pick some of them from the civilian institution and apply it to my work. So that they can improve the nature of operations. So nature of operations, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. The next question I want to ask is, what message do you think African youth needs to hear now?
Okay. So I like that question a lot. Change does not happen in a day. Change is gradual. And there's one thing I always put on my status a lot. For some time now, I've been putting it almost every day, as you see. Everything you do for the first time is not expected to be good. I remember the first time when we were on campus, I think you had not reported yet. We were in a choir practice, and then I was supposed to play Surely, one of Handel's pieces. And it has a lot of black keys, and the first time in front of the choir, I couldn't see any black key.
Wow.
But there were a lot of black keys,
Yeah.
After that, I had to get myself back. And I think I did quite well when I was there. Nothing you do the first time is expected to be perfect. That's what we should learn.
Yeah.
Because the process of change is gradual.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It is painful. Unfortunately, in our part of the world, we don't like to see the process. We like to see the end result.
Yeah.
But I believe that the process is very important, because if you get the process right, you should know the end result is like another continuous process. You get my point?
Yeah, I
So
do.
change is gradual. You should trust the process and
Mhm.
always take the action. There are certain things that I think that I should have done maybe years ago that I'm now doing because although I've lost some time, once I have life, I have hope, and I can still do it because I'm trying to trust the process. For example, in my field, there's people don't know so much about my field. So even I try to start the page, if you've noticed, the Heli Pilot.
Yeah.
Just to also let people know how they can also get into the career, because people don't know at all. They have no idea.
Yeah.
But people are really interested. And we are in 2024. So what can I do? If I'm not here today, what impact would I have made? At least 30 years from now, I want to remember that, oh, there was this guy who started this page, and now this is what is involved into.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been inspired by that. So they should just trust the process and take the step. That's the most important thing. Don't worry about the end result. The end is another process.
Okay.
That is what I think.
Okay, thank you. I'll follow up from there. I heard you say there were certain things that you actually wanted to do at your younger age that you were not able to do. So if you could advise your 18-year-old self, what would that advice be?
Be diligent.
Okay.
Be disciplined. And take the step.
Okay.
You know, one thing that sometimes stops us is fear. You know, when you are afraid of the unknown, I think that one, you're afraid of the unknown.
Yeah.
And also, very important, you must also broaden your scope. So, I used to do a lot of music, but I've not been active in about 10 years, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing that I think I feel sad about sometimes, because, a lot of these guys around, at the time, 10 years ago, I can confidently say that, there were differences, but I give them the credit because they've worked hard.
Yeah.
They have gone through the process. So you cannot take any progress they've made from them. They deserve it. So my old self or my younger self will have to be diligent, disciplined, focus, and start. There's no time. Just start it. Start and don't finish. And rather than just to stay and don't know what would have happened if you had started.
Okay. Interesting. Finally, I'll ask this one. Lately I've observed something running around the social media and other places. It looks as if young people are losing interest in the process that you've mentioned, going through the educational system, going through apprenticeship and all that to get to wherever they have to get to. A lot of them, perhaps maybe they are seeing the flashy things around and they are just not interested in going through the system, especially when they've seen people who have gone through the system and they are still struggling in life. What kind of advice would you give to such people?
Okay. First of all, the struggle never ends. The day you lose your last breath, it's when the struggle ends.
And that is
the struggle never ends.
We were
that's life.
Problems. Yeah.
I mean, the struggle is at different levels. So there's a book that I read, which I think has helped me a little. I don't forgive my language, but the title of the book is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a,
Yeah.
yeah. The positive side of that book, honestly, is the fact that no matter what you do in life, things will still mess you up.
Yeah.
You still struggle. Yeah. So what struggle are you choosing? What struggle are you choosing?
Better results.
Yeah.
Or what?
But yes, exactly.
Instant gratification.
And yes. Instant gratification is not lasting, I think, personally.
Yeah.
That's why I said, even when you go through the process and you achieve great results, the result itself is the beginning of another process.
Exactly.
Yes. So it is, I understand, sometimes I understand where they come from, that they see people who have worked so hard and still nothing is happening.
Yeah.
But it's still not an excuse, honestly. You still have to keep working.
Yeah.
You don't keep trying. I mean, the greatest risk is not taking the risk. Keep trying until you get to a point that God calls you and says, okay, you are finished.
Yeah.
You still have to keep trying. That's the advice I must give to them. It is real life. For me, life is real business. Life is not a joke. Unfortunately, we've had so many fairy tales on social media, and people say so many things, and a lot of false information, I must also say.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, spreads quickly.
Yeah.
You have to go through the mill.
Exactly.
Even if you want to do dubious things, it is still difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It's still difficult. So you must go through the mill. You must go, because there's no shortcut. It is very difficult. It is serious business. And it's always better if you let's listen to somebody's advice or experience than experience yourself. Because if you experience yourself, you would have wasted time. Like I said, there are certain things that I know now that if I had known 10 years ago, I would have saved myself 10 years or maybe some, but now I'm informed. So if there's any other person on that road, I can say, Charlie, try this. I tried this, it didn't work. Try it and see whether it will work for you, So the process is not a shortcut. You must go through it. It's difficult and painful, but you must go through it. That's what I can say.
Thank you.
You must go through it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sam, for your time. If there's anything that perhaps you want to put across that I did not ask, you can do so.
Okay. First of all, I want to apologize for not being too straightforward with some questions. I'm sure you know the sensitivity of where I come from.
That's fine.
Okay. And then secondly, I also want to say that I really appreciate this platform. This is an opportunity for us to really make an impact.
Yeah.
They say, what is success? Success is how many lives you touch. It's not how many kids you have or how much money you have. It's how many lives you touch. How many people have you influenced? How many people can look up to you? It doesn't mean we don't have flaws. Flaws are part of our lives. I'm sure we're all going to open some cupboards right now. People will be like, hey, how?
Yeah.
But how do we get over it? And the life itself is real business. It's not easy, especially in this modern world. And also, I think the last thing I'll say is that we should all be ready to evolve, to change, to learn the latest things, to make life better, and take advantage of new things that are coming. Look at how you can use those new things to touch lives, to impact lives. Like I said earlier, I started the page, and I've had about a lot of people asking me questions that even me, I thought were like, excuse my words, like, hey, you don't know this? How? I've had people visit me at work. Old people, young people, want to know this. And I have joy in doing it. I don't take any money from them. I just have joy in making them smile and inspiring people and letting them know that they can do it. I met this boy in Wenchi, and one little boy, and as soon as we landed there, he was like, playing with me chibi.
Wow.
And I was like, yes, that's good. Play with me chibi. So initially I was like, hey, this guy really has believed. Until one of my colleagues told me that years ago he was in one of the regions. I don't want to mention the name. He was in one of the regions, and the aircraft came to land there.
Okay.
And he also came there to take a picture, to also look at it, and was marveled.
Okay.
10 years on, he's flying it.
Yeah.
So it's possible. And also, lastly, we cannot take away the fact that you must believe in something. You believe in yourself, you put in the effort, but Charlie, I'm a Christian, so the divine thing, it works.
Yeah.
It works. You must also make it an effort to also contribute your quota to the divine job. Like anything you have, like any talent you have, it's good to use it for God's purpose, so that at the end of the day, unconsciously, he sort of rewards you when you least expect it. So basically, that's what I can say about it.
Thank you very much for your time and then the insights you've shared with us. I know it's been an insightful journey for our audience. I must say you're a very busy person, but you make time. I appreciate it a lot.
Okay, I'm also open anytime.
Yes, so if you can put out your social media handles for the work that you do here to inspire others. You can put it out there.
Okay. So it's Helipilot GH, HELIPILOTGH. on all the platforms: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
So,
Thank you very
thank you so much.
Thank you too.
Thank you again.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for sticking with us through another episode. Until I come your way in the next one, stay positive, keep your heads up, and you surely reach your destination. Remember to subscribe and share with others. Thank you.